Good morning, everyone. I hope you all can hear me well. So, can someone of you confirm whether you can hear me or not? You can use the chat or you can unmute yourself and speak. Okay, good. Thank you. Welcome to the first lecture of Business Economics and Business Finance Fundamentals. So, I will introduce myself first. I'm Uththara. I currently worked as a lecturer attached to the University of Kelaniya Finance Department, and I have obtained my bachelor's degree from the same university, University of Kelaniya, and I have obtained a first class degree in business management, a BBMGT special degree in finance, and then I have completed my master's from the University of Sri Jayawardenepura with a merit. And I'm also a member of the IBSL. I have completed the diploma in applied banking and finance, and I'm also a member of the Association of Accounting Technicians. And so that's my profile. And I'm currently reading for my PhD in University of RMIT Australia, right? So today we are going to discuss about business economics and business finance fundamentals. So there, under this course module, you will learn about two sectors. That means two main areas where you learned about the business economics, and then you will learn about the business finance also. Right, in this, since you all are following the foundation level of the CHFMA course, so you will get the basic understanding about the business economics and the business finance. So we will go through the main concepts and what are the key areas that you need to know regarding this course module, right? So to begin with, can I know who have done their A-levels in commerce stream, or the students who have a basic understanding regarding economics and finance? So most of you might not have an understanding regarding economics. So can I know whether you have done your A-levels in commerce stream or not? That will make me easy, that'll make my work easy to have an understanding regarding your academic background. Okay, one has done his or her A-levels in commerce stream. What about the others? Yeah. Anyone who hasn't done your A-levels in commerce? We have 4 students who have 6 students have completed their A-levels in commerce stream. All of you have completed your A-levels in commerce stream, right? I hope so. Yeah. So then you might know these things, right? So you might know the fundamentals of economics, what economics is, and what are the basic concepts of economics. However, so if you have done your A-levels, if you haven't done your A-levels in the recent past, within the last 2 to 5 years, you might not have, you might not remember the things that you have learned for your A levels, right? So don't worry, we will go through the basics one by one, and you will get a proper understanding regarding the course module, right? So this normally we are conducting 3-hour sessions, but this session will be, or today's session will be a short session for like 1.5 hours. So we'll not try to complete the whole PowerPoint. I will just go through the basic things that you need to understand in your as a foundation for the economics. So we will do all the topics related to economics first, and then after completing that I will move on to business finance. So ideally you will have around 5 sessions or 6 sessions on business finance, and the rest of the sessions will be done on business economics, right? So today we are going to cover the business economics topic. So these are the learning outcomes of this first session. So what do you mean by learning outcomes? So at the end of this session you need to have an idea on these 4 topics. So in the examination also we are going to test these topics. So that is what is mentioned as learning outcomes. So after learning these topics you need to get these outcomes. So you should be able to explain these things in your after completing this session. So that is what is mentioned as the learning outcomes, right? So at the end of this lesson you should be able to explain the fundamental concepts in economics and describe the basic economic questions, illustrate economic concepts in production possibility frontiers, that means the and also we call this as production possibility curves, and then identify different economic systems. These are the learning outcomes, right? So this is the introduction. So you know that economics is not rocket science. So we identify and we come across the things that we face in our day-to-day lives and the decisions that we make in our day-to-day lives when we are purchasing something, when we are saying that we want something, when we are saying that I need to buy this thing, I need to sell this thing. So all the things that we are coming across in our day-to-day lives is related to economics, right? So all the management concepts, all the main concepts related to management, finance has the base of economics. So the subject matter of economics is closely related to day-to-day decisions that we make regarding our material well-being, right? So in economics what we do is we are making decisions, right? So when we are making decisions we are using economics. So even though you don't know whether you are using economics or not, that is what you do. You are using economics to make your to take decisions. And it is important to understand how individuals and firms behave when there are changes in impersonal variables such as prices, tax rates, interest rates, and exchange rates. So these are, so the prices, the tax rates, the interest rates, the exchange rates are the words that we come across in our day-to-day lives, right? So as people who are working in the hospitality industry, you know how the tax impacts to the industry, right? So I think you are paying taxes, you are paying APIT or pay as you earn tax or the income tax based on your salaries, right? So then even a person who doesn't know about economics are dealing with a person who doesn't know about economics is dealing with economical terms, right? So as tax rates. So tax rate is a word or is a concept that relates to economics. And then prices. So we are like, you know that in your hotel industry and in the hospitality industry, we know that there are several prices for each and every product or service that you offer, right? So for in hotels we have room rates. We are categorizing certain rooms based on the capacity, the availability, the based on the luxurious facilities, and based on the facilities that we are getting, right? So for each of these things we are deciding prices, or we are like we are giving prices, or we are setting prices for each of these things. So price is another thing that is related to economics. Even though you don't know about economics, you're relating to that in your day-to-day lives. And the interest rate, right? So during the recent past we have discussed several discussions have been done related to these interest rates and the exchange rates, right? So during the economic recession that we had, the economic downturn that we experienced the fluctuations of interest rates and the exchange rates, right? So what is an exchange rate? So that is the currency, that is a rate that one currency is exchanged to another currency, right? So when it comes to the exchange rate, we are talking about the exchange rate depreciation. Even a small kid knows what exchange rate depreciation is, right? So even a small child knows that today's exchange rate is this much, so the exchange rate has gone up likewise. And when it comes to the interest rate, so you know about the interest rate because you're investing, you might invest somewhere, or you're having savings account, you're having fixed deposit, so you're interested in the interest rates, right? So even a person who doesn't know anything about economics is coming across these economic terms such as prices, tax rates, interest rates, and exchange rates, right? So all in all, economics is about human behavior, how people behave. That is why I told you previously also, economics is not rocket science. We are discussing about human behavior, how people react to certain things, how people are making their decisions. So that is what economics is all about. And it is a living subject, and knowledge of subject helps individuals, organizations, and policymakers to make more informed decisions, right? As I told you previously, under economics we are making, or we are helping the individuals, organizations, and policymakers to make informed decisions, even like without taking decisions, or without making decisions uh, randomly, or by like instantly. We are giving them certain information to make informed decisions. So when we are giving information to the policymakers, individuals, and organizations, we are observing the human behavior, right? So that is what economics is all about, right? Then these are some of the definitions that we can see. Economics is social science that studies choice under conditions of scarcity, or studies of choice with constraints, right? So what do you mean by scarcity? Why are we saying that we need to make choices in our day-to-day lives? Can someone of you tell me? Why are we saying that we need to make choices in our day-to-day lives? Tell me. If you don't like to speak, you can use the chat box also. So if you have learned economics in your A levels, you know that, right? Scarcity කියන්නේ අපි සිංහලෙන් හිඟකම කියලා, right? So that is identified as the fundamental concept in economics, or the foundation of economics. That is the foundation of the economic problem. Yes, scarcity arises because we don't have enough resources, right? So in economics we have two underlying basic assumptions, right? So we have two assumptions in economics when it comes to this scarcity. The first one is human wants are limitless, or human wants are unlimited, right? මිනිස්සුන්ගේ වුවමනාවන් අසීමිතයි කියලා අපි කියනවා, right? So that is because, so you know that our need is food. If our need is food, අපිට කෑම නම් ඕනේ. කෑම වලට කොච්චර තියනවද අපිට options, right? So if you're hungry, if you want food, you can either eat rice, pizza, pasta, kottu, spaghetti, short eats, hoppers, string hoppers, anything, right? So human wants are unlimited, right? So that is the first assumption that we are making. And the second assumption that we have is the resources available to satisfy them are limited. So even though you're hungry, right, even though you have several options to take to fulfill your hunger, you have some constraints. So what can be your constraints? What can be your constraints? You don't have enough money to buy all of these things. Even though you have enough money, you can't eat all of these things to fulfill your satisfaction, to fulfill your hunger. Or else even though you have money, and even though you can fulfill even though you can eat all of these, you don't have resources to make those, or all these items are not available, right? Yes, time is also a constraint, right? So therefore we say that even though the human wants are unlimited or limitless, the resources available to satisfy them are limited. So that is why we can identify this concept, scarcity. So the basic problem that is faced by each and every economy is how to satisfy these unlimited wants with these limited resources, right? මිනිසුන්ට තියෙන උවමනාවන් අසීමිතයි. ඒ නිසා හැම ආර්ථිකයක්ම face කරන question එක තමයි how they are going to satisfy these unlimited wants by using these limited resources, right? So you can say that wants are unlimited, but we are unable to purchase all of these things, and because the resources are limited, that is the point where this problem of scarcity arises, right? So the economics is a social science that studies choices under conditions of scarcity, or study of choices with constraint, right? So since we don't have enough resources to fulfill all these wants, we need to make certain choices, right? අපිට තෝරා ගැනීම කරන්න වෙනවා. මොකක්ද අපි consume කරන්නේ, මොන good එකටද අපි යන්නේ කියන එක ගැන. And specifically we say that economics is the study of how individuals and societies choose to employ scarce resources that could have alternative users to produce products and services and distribute them now or in the future among various individuals and groups in the society. That is another definition, right? So you can define economics the way you want, but you should keep in mind that is a social science that studies choices under conditions of scarcity, and it is used by the individuals and the groups of people to make their decisions, right? Did you understood up to now, or do you want any clarifications? So can you all please confirm whether you understood or not? Okay. So now we are moving on to another section, that is the microeconomics, the difference between the microeconomics and the macroeconomics. So this also you know, but I will just recap your memory regarding this. So in economics, you all know that we can categorize economics into mainly two types. The first one is the microeconomics, the second one is the macroeconomics, right? So under microeconomics, we are learning about the individual decision making units, or we are dealing with the individual decision making units such as consumers, the firms and the resource owners, the business firms, the individual markets in a free enterprise economy, right? So there we are making decisions, or we are like studying how these individuals or a particular firm or a particular market segment is making their decisions under this, right? So what can be examples for these macroeconomic scenarios? What are the topics that you have learned under microeconomics? What are the topics that you have learned under microeconomics in your A-levels? So you have learned about market structures, right? So there you have learned about several market structures. That means you have learned about the monopoly, the oligopoly, the perfect competition, the monopolistic competition. So there you have discussed about the microeconomics. Yes, very good. You have discussed about the supply, demand and supply, right? Then when you discussed about the demand and supply, you discussed about a specific market, right? So there we learned about the crops. There we learned about several characteristics of a demand or a market, or the determinants of supply or determinants of demand for a particular product. So there you are referring to a particular market or particular segment or particular individual, right? So those are microeconomic concepts. And also you have learned about the theory of production and theory of cost. There you learned about the variable cost. There you have learned about the fixed cost, marginal cost, average cost for a certain production, right? For a certain product, or how many units that we are going to produce in for a certain product, and what is the cost that we are going to bear, and what is the total production, what is the average production, marginal production of a certain product, right? So there also you are referring to a certain product or a certain a production that is also discusses about a certain a small production or a small category, right? So that is also coming under microeconomics. So simply when it comes to microeconomics, the theory or the pricing decisions are related to certain individuals or certain individuals, firms, or resource owners, or individual markets in an economy. So this only refers to a certain part of the economy. And on the other hand, when it comes to the macroeconomics, we are dealing with the aggregate behavior, the whole behavior, or the indicators that that impact the whole economy or the economy as a whole, right? So there we have discussed about the national output. There you have calculated the national output by using the output approach, income approach, expenditure approach. And so when you're calculating the GDP, GNP, and the per capita GDP, so are you referring to a particular product? No, right? You're not referring to a particular product. You are referring to the whole economy as a whole, right? සම්පූර්ණ economy එකටම තමයි ඔයා relate කරන්නේ. And also you have discussed certain concepts such as unemployment. So then are you referring to unemployment related to let's say a particular area? That means a particular small area or small town. Nugegoda තියෙන unemployment එක ගැන are we referring to? No, right? We are not referring to that. We are referring to the unemployment in Sri Lanka. So we are referring to this behavior in the whole, related to the whole economy. And then when it comes to the interest rate, so we are referring to the prices and the interest rate to the whole economy. And then when it comes to the exchange rate, are we referring to the exchange rate in Colombo? Are we referring to the exchange rate in Kandy? No, right? We are referring to the exchange rate of a rupee, Sri Lankan rupees, LKR. ලංකාවට තියෙන currency එක ගැන තමයි අපි measure කරන්නේ, වෙන පොඩි sectors නෙමෙයි. And we are discussing about the balance of payment, the account where we mark all the inputs and the exports, or input and export of goods and services. So all these factors, that all these concepts that discuss about the aggregate behavior comes under macroeconomics, and all the theories and all the concepts that discusses about the individual decision making units are coming under what? Microeconomics. It is very important to get an understanding about the differences between these concepts as the foundation under the foundation of economics, right? Then we are referring to the scarcity. So I have given you a small introduction to scarcity previously when I explained about the definition of economics. So now we are going to learn that or discuss that in a broader manner, right? So scarcity means the scarcity under economics rests into two basic assumptions. That is the thing that I have explained you previously as well. Right, human wants are limitless, but the resources available to satisfy them are limited. So as I told you previously, so scarcity won't happen if we can find out or if we can fulfill all the wants that we have, right? Scarcity කියන දේ එන්නේ නැහැ. අපි අපිට අවශ්‍ය හැම දෙයක්ම fulfill කරගන්න පුළුවන් කමක් තිබ්බොත්, right? So scarcity occurs because we don't have enough resources to fulfill all the requirements that we have, right? So human wants are unlimited, so that we know we have several wants, right? So if we go to a shop to purchase, if we go to a clothing shop to purchase certain clothes, so we like many clothes that we see, right? Many different types of clothes, many different types of designs that we are there. And however, even though we like all of these things, we can't purchase all because we are having some kind of a budget constraint, right? So even though we like certain things, we have to limit our purchase because the resources are limited. And also that is identified as the fundamental thing to the scarcity. The basic problem facing in every society is how to satisfy the unlimited wants with the limited resources. So that also I explained you. So if people can fulfill all their needs and wants, so there won't be scarcity. So we don't need to make decisions because each and every person can purchase or can can consume whatever they want because there's no limitation, there's no constraints. We need to identify economic concepts and we need to study economics because there's a thing called scarcity. Scarcity තියෙන නිසා තමයි අපි මේ economics කියන subject එක පාඩම් කරන්නේ ඉගෙන ගන්න ඕනේ. මොකද scarcity තියෙන නිසා තමයි අපිට choices select කරන්න වෙන්නේ. We need to make choices. We need to select something from the available or from the unlimited wants based on the available resources. And the scarcity of resources is the foundation of the economic problem. Wants are greater than our resources. So as I told you, if you like to eat, if you want to eat something, if you are hungry, so you have several options, right? ගොඩාක් options තියෙනවා. Hunger කියන එක, food කියන ඒ need එක satisfy කරගන්න ඔයාට ගොඩාක් options තියෙනවා, right? Thirst කියන එක satisfy කරගන්න ඔයාට ගොඩාක් options තියෙනවා. You can drink a tea or a coffee or iced tea or a cool drink or any other hot drink, anything you can have, right? And so we know that the wants are greater than our resources. There's no limit for these wants. However, even though we like everything, we can't buy everything because our resources are limited. That is where the problem of scarcity arises. Because there's a problem of scarcity, we need to make choices. Right? So that is how the scarcity is coming into picture. And why are the human wants assumed to be limitless? Why the wants are assumed to be limitless? Because there's a difference between the needs and the wants. Right? Needs we wants we අතර difference එකක් තියෙනවා. Right? So what do you mean by a need? What do you mean by a need? Tell me, what do you mean by a need? Yeah, so needs are the essential things that we need to have. ඒව තමයි අපිට ඕනේ essentials කියලා අපි කියන්නේ. Right? And wants are the ways to fulfill the needs. Right? So we have the wants are multiplying. Right? So if you like a certain thing now, and your choice will change in like few minutes, right? දැන් ඔයා කැමති එකට නෙමෙයි ඔයා තව ටිකකින් කැමති වෙන්නේ. ඒකටත් කැමති මේකටත් කැමති. හැම වෙලේම choices හැම වෙලේම වෙනස් වෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ wants ටික හැම වෙලේම වෙනස් වෙනවා. So wants are something that you that is desired, right? So that is something that you like to have. But those are not essential for the survival. So as I told you previously, needs are essentials. Needs are the essential things for human survival. Right? Needs අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම ඕනේ human survival එකට, but we don't need wants for the human survival. So those are the desired things that we like to have, but those are not important for the human survival. So these wants are multiplying. Right? Time to time this is multiplying. So how these wants are multiplying? Can you tell me how your wants are multiplying time to time? මොනා නිසාද ඔයාගේ wants multiply වෙන්නේ? So you can your wants might multiply because of the change in the preferences. Sometimes your wants can multiply based on the influence of people or some kind of an organization. Advertisements දැකලා ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ wants multiply වෙන්න පුළුවන්. කලින් like previously you didn't think that you want that, but after seeing an advertisement you might want a particular thing. Right? ඔයා හිතුවේවත් නැති දෙයක් ඔයාට ඕනේ වෙන්න පුළුවන් advertisement එකක් දැකලා. Right? So that is the nature of wants. Right? And we have another thing called a demonstration effect. Right? What do you mean by demonstration effect? Have you heard about this demonstration effect previously? Yes, wants can multiply based on the social pressure also. කෙනෙක්ගේ preferences වලිනුත් multiply වෙන්න පුළුවන්, influence එකකිනුත් multiply වෙන්න පුළුවන්, and based on the social pressure also the wants might multiply. What do you mean by the demonstration effect? Have you heard about that previously? Okay, so think about a scenario where, so yeah, I think all of us are having some role models, right? So that those, like, if we consider about the younger generation these days, so they're having some role models, ideal characters, like K-pop stars or singers or actors in any other country, right? So they might have some role models, right? So demonstration effect is happening when people in developing countries like Sri Lanka see the lifestyle of the tourists or see the lifestyle of foreigners from the developed countries or from the wealthier nations, and they began to desire the similar taste and similar consumer goods and to their lifestyle. I will repeat it again. So, demonstration effect is happening when people in developing countries like in Sri Lanka see the lifestyle patterns of the foreign people in developed nations like South Korea, US, UK. So there are wealthier nations than us, right? So if people start to follow those people in wealthier nations, how they behave, what are the items that they are using, what are the consumer goods that they are purchasing, so then this the people in developing nations are also increasing their demand, are also trying to purchase the same products by reducing their savings, right? And by reducing their savings and by changing their consumption, they are going to copy those people in the wealthier nations, right? So ultimately what will happen from this is they will reduce their savings rate, and that will ultimately impact their own consumption portions, right? So so you know that there are some people who tend to purchase certain branded items because their role model is purchasing those, right? Disposition effect එකක් පිටරට තියෙන අයටම relate කරන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. දැන් ලංකාවේ, so you can refer to the Sri Lankan country. Sri Lankans, the people who are in lower middle class is like observing the behavior of wealthier people in Sri Lanka, right? ලංකාවේ ඉන්න wealthy කට්ටිය celebrities ලව observe කරනවා. ඒතර එයාලා use කරන perfume එක, එයාලා use කරන brands හරියට promote කරන, ඒගොල්ලෝ promote කරනවා. So they say that they are using these items. So then people who are having lower level of income are trying to consume those goods. So since they don't have enough money to consume those goods, so they are trying to reduce their savings and purchase the goods that are being promoted. And ඒකෙන් what will happen? So that will reduce the consumption pattern of these lower income people or the lower middle income people in those developing countries, and that can lead to an impact to their consumption, and also that will have some kind of a social pressure or financial distress to that particular person, right? I hope you got my point. And that is why people are adopting to more technological advanced productions, and they are following social trends in social media. So those things are happening because of this demonstration effect, right? Did you get my point, or do you want any further clarification? Tell me. Okay, good. What about others? Okay, thank you. So certain products are bought for display. So even though even though those people purchase certain products to follow their celebrity or to follow the uh, role model, follow their role model or follow their celebrity, they are not just they are even they don't even use that product. So all those products are purchased only for display, right? And also wants increase due to initiatives taken by firms. That is why I told you, based on the advertisements, based on how they are advertising the products, these wants might change. So even though a particular person doesn't have any intention previously to purchase that particular product, based on the initiatives taken by firms, the people might have an increased they might have a want to purchase that particular product, right? So that is why we say wants are assumed to be limitless. And the resource scarcity is a constraint faced by every decision maker, whether it is a consumer, producer, or the government. Even though you are the government of a particular economy, even though you are a consumer or a producer, you need to face for scarcity. So that is the universal problem in the economy. And the consumer has many wants, and he has to decide how he should spend his limited income or resource to maximize his utility or the satisfaction. So utility is a term where we use to explain about the satisfaction in economics. Satisfaction කියලා කියන්නේ අපි general terms නේ. So utility is the economic terms for the satisfaction. And a firm must decide how it should use its limited capital to maximize the profit. So the firm must take decisions to maximize the profits by using the limited capital or the limited resources. And a government must decide how it should spend its limited tax revenue to maximize the society's welfare. We'll discuss all of these in detail in your next few lectures. And now we are moving on to the other concept, the next important concept. So that is the choice. What do you mean by choice? Choice is the second basic concept in economics. Resources are not only scarce but can be put to alternative users, right? So all these scarce resources have alternative users, right? The scarcity of the resources compels us to make choices between the alternatives. So all these resources, all these scarce resources are having alternative resources, alternative users. So we can select what goods to buy with the limited income, right? So we can make choices. ඒ කියන්නේ අපිට හිඟකම නිසා අපිට තේරීමක් කරන්න පුළුවන්. So economics studies the nature of choice made by the individuals, firms, governments as they cope with the scarcity. So as I told you previously, even if we don't have any scarcity, if we are not facing a scarcity problem, so we don't need to make choices. හිඟකමක් නැත්තම් අපිට තේරීමක් කරන්න අවශ්‍ය වෙන්නේ නැහැ, because we can purchase each and everything that we want to, right? So since the economy and all the individuals, government, firms are facing scarcity, they need to make choices. So all these resources are having alternative choices, so they can select what product that they need to consume based on their scarcity. And the third question is that, or the third concept is that, is the opportunity cost. What do you mean by opportunity cost? So how come this opportunity cost is coming as the third concept? So firstly, we discussed that we are having scarcity. That means even though the wants are limited, the wants are unlimited, the resources are limited. So all the resources are having alternative choices. So we can choose one from the alternative choices, and then when we are making choices, what is happening? We have to forego something, forego the other choices, other alternatives, right? අපි එකක් සිලෙක්ට් කරන නිසා හිඟකම කියන්නේ වුවමනාව අවශ්‍යතාවලට වඩා වුවමනා අසීමිතයි. ඒක නිසා අපිට choice එකක් එහෙම නැත්නම් තේරීමක් කරන්න වෙනවා. ඒතර මොකක් හරි එකක් තෝරගන්නවා කියන්නේ ඉතුරු options ටික අපි අතාරිනවා කියන එක. So opportunity comes where comes into picture when we are making choices. So when we are making choices, when we are making a choice between the alternatives, we need to forego the other options, right? So opportunity cost is the cost that we are incurring from the next best alternative that is foregone, right? That is the third important concept in economics. Faced with many choices or alternatives, a rational consumer will select the best alternative. The opportunity cost is defined as the cost or the value of the next best alternative that we have to give up to get something. අපි හොඳම එක සිලෙක්ට් කරගන්නවා. opportunity cost එක කියන්නේ හොඳම එක සිලෙක්ට් කරගත්තට පස්සේ අපිට අතාරින්න වෙන ඊළඟ හොඳම විකල්පයේ වටිනාකම. This is the cost of the most desired alternative foregone or sacrificed. Since we don't have since we don't have resources to consume all the options available, we are selecting the best option, and then we need to forego the other options. The opportunity cost is the cost that we are incurring by foregoing the next best alternative. ඊළඟ අතාරින්න වෙන ඊළඟ හොඳම විකල්පයේ වටිනාකමට තමයි අපි opportunity cost එහෙම නැත්නම් ආවස්තික පිරිවැය කියලා කියන්නේ. Right, so until now what we have discussed? We have discussed the what is economics, what we are discussing about economics, and then we discussed about two basic types of economics, that is the microeconomics and the macroeconomics, and then we discussed about the three main concepts of economics. The scarcity. Under scarcity we discussed about the wants, why wants are unlimited, and then we discussed about the choices, and then we moved on to the opportunity cost. So all of these are very important. And then we are going to discuss about the factors of production and factor payments. What do you mean by factors of production? What do you mean by factors of production? So before that I need to explain you another concept. Right? So in economics we are talking about behavior of people, right? As I told you previously also, at the beginning also I told you, in economics we are talking about the behavior of people, right? So there we are talking about four like decision making units, right? So do you have any idea about those decision making units? Mainly three decision making units, right? So in economics we are discussing about the decisions that people make or people or organizations make. So under that we are discussing about several decision makers or several decision takers. So in economics, I know you already know these things. We are discussing about three decision makers. Who are the first one? Who are those? Who are they? Any guesses? අපි ඉකෝන් වලදී කතා කරන්නේ කවුරු ගැනද? කවුරු decisions ගන්නවා කියලාද අපි කතා කරන්නේ? Yes, very good. Households or the consumers. So they are the first party. Government, yes, very good. Firms, yes, well done. So those are the three parties of decision making. So parties who make decisions in an economy. So we'll firstly talk about the households, or we can call them as consumers also. So who are the consumers? So consumers are anyone who consumes the commodities to satisfy his or her wants. කවුරුම හරි මොනා හරි commodity එකක් consume කරනවා නම් ඒගොල්ලොන්ගේ want satisfy කරගන්න. So we call them as consumers. Anyone who consumes commodities to satisfy his or her wants are known as the consumers. So then who are the households? So household, why we call them as household? සිංහලෙන් අපි කුටුම්බයක් කියලා කියනවා. Why we call a certain party as household? Household කියලා කියන්නේ A levels වලට ඉගෙන ගන්න ඇතිනේ කුටුම්බයක් කියලා. කාටද කුටුම්බයක් කියලා කියන්නේ? Tell me, who are categorized as households? Families or individual family, right? So as the definition, we normally say that household is defined as all the people who live under one roof, right? එක ගෙදරක ජීවත් වෙන ඔක්කොම කට්ටිය, and who take or are subject to others taking for them joint financial decisions, right? Or all the people who are living under one roof and who are taking or are subject to take joint financial decisions are known as households. කියන්නේ එක ගෙදරක ජීවත් වෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒගොල්ලෝ එකට තමයි ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ financial decisions මූල්‍ය තීරණ ගන්නෙ. So those are known as the households. Right? So firstly we assume that the households are taking consistent decisions, right? So they ignore certain transitions in their decisions, and we assume that they are making consistent decisions, and all those decisions are taken to maximize their satisfaction. And we called the households, or we assume that the households are the principal owners of the factors of production, right? මේ householdsලා තමයි, ඒ කියන්නේ කුටුම්බවල ජීවත් වෙන එක ගෙදරක එකට ජීවත් වෙලා එක joint financial decisions ගන්න කට්ටියට තමයි මේ factors of production කියන එක අයිති කියන එක අපි assume කරනවා. Right? So the factors of production are owned by these households. And what are these factors of production? Land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurial ability. And the second decision maker is the firm, or we call them as producers or the suppliers. Right? So who is a firm? Firm එකක් කියන්නේ කාටද? Yes, companies, producers or suppliers, yeah, organizations. So I'm asking a definition. So we normally define firm as the unit that uses the factors of production to produce the commodities, right? So as I told you previously, the owners of factors of production are the households and the people or the organizations or the units that employs these factors of production to produce the commodities are known as firms. Right? So what they do is they employ the factors of production and produce the commodities, and they sell those commodities to other firms and to households or to the government to earn a profit. We assume in economics, we also assume that they are making constant decisions, and they are making decisions to maximize their profit. So the decisions that are made by households or the consumers are to maximize their satisfaction, and the decisions taken by the firms are to maximize their profit. And they are considered as the principal users of the factors of production, right? So the households are the principal owners of factors of production. The factors of production are land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. So the principal users of factors of production are the firms, and for getting the land, they are paying the rent. For getting labor, they are paying wages. For getting capital, they are paying interest. And for the entrepreneurial ability, they are paying profits. And the third decision maker is the central authorities, right? The central authorities or the government or the public agencies. So those are the authorities that can have control over the behavior of the firms and the households. and they can make their own decisions. They can purchase goods and services also, but their main duty is to control the behavior of firms and the households. Right. So, did you get what I said previously? Or do you want me to explain this further? So, one student is asking, the last decision maker is the government. It depends, right? So we are talking about certain economies, such as free economies. I think you have already learned, right? So we have discussed about, in your A levels. You have done about you have learned about the planned economics, the mixed economics, and the free market economics, right? So in the free market, the government is not involving. All the decisions are taken by the demand and supply. And when it comes to the planned economy, the government is deciding what to produce. The government is deciding how to distribute the resources. The government is deciding everything. So they are the last decision maker. So when it comes to the mixed economies, what is happening? So firstly, they are deciding the demand. They are deciding the goods that they need to produce based on the demand and supply. And if those prices and the quantities are not fair, the government is involving, right? So government has a control on the things that is done in the economy, but they are not they are taking certain decisions, but based on economics we can't say the government is the last decision maker, because in economics we are talking about certain things, but in the real terms, when it comes, like in Sri Lanka, we of course have a mixed economy, right? That means the supply is decided based on the demand. Then if we have some kind of a lower level of supply, so then the government is interfering. When the prices are not fair for the consumers, the government is interfering. So in this case, in our case, in the Sri Lankan context, the government can be the final decision maker, but that's another question there also. uh, will these suppliers and the consumers listen to these government decisions? Are they adhering to the government decisions? Then again, so think about the scenario where the there's a mafia on this rice prices, right? Rice, dal, and sugar and other prices for certain periods. There's like kind of a black market price. So even though the government is imposing a price, a maximum price, we had a black market price for eggs also previously, right? So even though government tells that one egg cannot be sold uh, above 40 rupees or 30 rupees, so people are selling, right? So then even though there's a question whether the government is having the final decisions. However, in mixed up economies, we say that the government is interfering. Right? Government එක interfere වෙනවා කියලා තමයි කියන්නේ. Free economy එකේ නම් අපි government එක කිසිම involvement එකක් නැහැ කියලා කියනවා. Planned economy එකේ නම් ඔක්කොම decisions ගන්න last decision make වෙන්නේ government එක කියලා කියනවා. Mixed economy එකේ demand and supply එක decide කරනවා. But there can be some interference on the from the government කියලාත් කියනවා. Right? So it depends. So we are learning the theories, but there can be some contradictions to the real world scenarios. Okay, I hope that is clear. Then we can move on to the major economic problems. So you have already learned that in economics we have three major economic problems. Right? So each and every economy needs to answer these economic problems when they're making their decisions. Right? So every society faces the challenges of satisfying unlimited wants with limited resources. Given this situation, every society has to find answers to a few basic economic questions with what, how, and for whom to produce. For the first economic question is, basic economic question is what to produce. In Sinhala, we call this as kumak kopamana nishpadane karanawada. Right? So this decision is based on this question is deciding on the prices of the goods and services market, right? So how many goods that we are producing, right? කොච්චර goods ටිකක් අපි produce කරනවාද කියන එක තමයි මෙතනදී decide කරන්නේ, right? So we have to answer the question by by considering the allocation of scarce resources to alternative users, and therefore we call this question as the resource allocation question, right? Resource allocation එක ගැන කියන question එකක් විදිහට අපි ඒක identify කරගන්නවා, right? And as I told you previously, in free market economies, most decisions concerning about this resource allocation are made through the price system. Price system is, they are saying that they are having an invisible hand to decide the prices, and based on the prices only they are deciding what to produce and for whom to produce, right? And the second question is how to produce. That means by what methods, how are we going to, or by using what method these commodities are produced. කෙසේ නිෂ්පාදනය කරනවාද කියන එක තමයි ඒකට සිංහලෙන් කියන්නේ. So by looking at the factor cost, right? So even though these factor payments are an income to the households, these are cost to the firms. So they are deciding how to produce or answer the how to produce question by looking at the cost of the factors. Right, so As I told you, since there are alternative choices, so they have several choices to produce these goods and services. Right? මේ goods හදන්නත් එක එක options තියෙනවා. So I think you have heard about the labor oriented method and the machine oriented method. So there are mainly two technically possible ways to produce these goods. So you can use labor oriented method, because you can if you want to have more labor and the labor cost is very cheap, you can use the labor oriented method, so then your cost will be lower, right? And if the prices for the machinery is lower, or the cost for the machinery is lower, you can go forward with the machine oriented method, right? So likewise, you can select what method you are going to produce by using what method you are going to produce these commodities, right? And the third question is, for whom to produce? කා සඳහා නිෂ්පාදනය කරනවාද? How is the society's outputs, goods and services are divided among the members? මේ හදපු goods ටික කවුරු අතරේද බෙදාගන්නේ කියන එක තමයි ඊළඟ question එක වෙන්නේ. Right? And so this is decided through the factor market. Right? So the factor payments are paid by the firms, and those are the prices, or those are the income, that is the income received by selling the factor inputs, right, by the households, right? So they are deciding if they like in a free market. So if a particular household can demand for more goods by giving more money, so then they will give more products to that particular household. ඒ වගේ කා සඳහා නිෂ්පාදනය කරනවාද කියන එකට ඒගොල්ලන් economy එකට answer කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ prices තියෙන මොනවාද income එක බලලා income එක වැඩි කටට වැඩියෙන් distribute කරන්න පුළුවන්. If the economy is a planned economy, the government can decide, right? කාටද බෙදාන්නේ කියලා government එකට decide කරන්න පුළුවන්. මෙච්චර මේ product එකෙන් මෙච්චර ප්‍රමාණයක් තමයි හැමෝටම දෙන්නේ කියන එක ඒගොල්ලන්ට equally distribute කරන්න පුළුවන්. And in a mixed economy, people who are having high income can purchase, and for the people who are having a low income, the government can distribute, right? So there are several ways to take this or answer these economic questions. So did you all understood up to this point? Okay, then tell me, if you're given a question like this, tell me, wait. If you're If you are given a question to explain the relationship between the scarcity, choice, and the opportunity cost, how we are going to answer? Tell me. If you are given a question to explain the relationship between the scarcity, opportunity cost, scarcity, choice, and opportunity cost, how we are going to answer? So this is a very basic question I asked you. Tell me. You can send the answers to the chat box. Tell me. I am saying that the scarcity, opportunity cost, and the scarcity, choice, and the opportunity cost are interrelated. Explain. Then how are you going to answer that? කියන්න බලන්න. So you can firstly tell that the scarcity, choice, and opportunity costs are interrelated and interconnected, and those are the foundations for economic decision making. And scarcity is identified as the main root cause or the fundamental concept of economics, because the wants are unlimited and the resources are limited. So that is why human can't satisfy all the human wants, so all their wants, right? So since the humans can't satisfy all their wants with the limited number of resources, they need to make choices. They need to select what to consume and what to select from the alternatives that are possible, right? So the scarcity is becoming the root cause for economics, and based on the scarcity, the choice is happening, that is the consequence. And when humans are making choices, they need to forego the alternatives and the next best alternative that is foregone by selecting the best alternative is known as the opportunity cost, right? So that is what you sacrifice. So the scarcity can be the root cause, the scarcity is the root cause, and the choice is the consequence, and the opportunity cost is the sacrifice that you are making based on because the resources are limited, right? So you can tell an example, right? So you can refer to yourself and tell me and explain the example. So you're following the CHFMA course, right? So today is a weekend, and you might not have any work today. So you have like, since you are working and you are studying, you have very limited time. Your time is the scarce resource here, and you can select, or you have options to select whether you are joining the class today, or whether you are hanging out with your friends, or you are going out with your family, or anything, right? Or you are going for a movie, or going shopping, or to sleep, or anything, right? So you're selecting. So if you like select going out instead of joining the lecture today, then you're losing the knowledge that you are getting from this lecture. So that is the opportunity cost. The knowledge that you are gaining from studying, or from participating to the lecture, is the opportunity cost that you are foregoing if you go out, right? So if you join the lecture, the if you had any other options to go out, hang out with your friends, or go shopping or anything, so that the next best alternative that you forego is the opportunity cost that you had, right? So that is how you explain the interconnection, right? So today we discussed about the introduction to economics, right? And how we're going to define economics based on your own words, so you should know. And the difference between the micro and macroeconomics, how we are going to differentiate what kind of decisions are made in microeconomics and macroeconomics, and what are the examples for micro and macroeconomic concepts. And then we discussed about the fundamental concepts of economics, scarcity, why human wants are unlimited, and the choice and the opportunity cost. And then we discussed about the three what do you call three decision makers in an economy: the households or the consumers, the firms, and the government. And then we discussed about the factors of production. We discussed that the owners of the factors of production are the households or the firms, and the payments are made, or the users of those factors of production are the firms, and they are making the factor payments, and that will be the factor income of the households, and they are using those factor income to purchase goods and services. And then we discussed that there are major economic problems in an economy. The first one is what to produce. That means how many goods that we are going to produce, and then how to produce, what is the what is the method that we are going to use to produce these goods, and then for whom to produce, how we are going to distribute the goods that we have produced, right? So do you have any clarifications? Do you need any further clarifications regarding this topic, or until these sections that I have explained to you today? Oh, I all clear with the things that I have taught you. So since you are not responding, I'm like assuming that you understood the things that I taught you, right? So then I think we can stop for today. So I will discuss the rest of this topic in the next week and start a new topic also. Right, so thank you for participating and have a nice day.